What's up, guys? Chris Brown here, otherwise known as Chainstasiswellness, coming at you with another wellness moment. Today, I want to finish our series on talking about the book Ikigai by Hector Garcia and Francesc Morales. Again, I always probably butcher those names, so I'm sorry. In this video, I want to talk about the last few chapters. What they did, these two authors, is they went out to the northern parts of Japan and talked to the centenarians, or the people who had lived the longest lives out there, and asked them what their secrets were to living a long and happy life. Now, these won't necessarily be the best things that there is with any kind of scientific evidence, so much as how these people felt they lived the long and happy lives. Many of it intersects with what we know works, but some of it is just anecdotal and a good story. Either way, let's dig in and see what we want to use. All right, so generally, these things were the most cited as what helped these people live the longest by their perspective. Number one, stay busy. Never stop moving, never stop learning. We learned already that the brain requires focus and challenge to continually keep firing. And the more you keep it active, the longer you live. We kind of see this all the time. People who develop Alzheimer's oftentimes had stopped challenging themselves in their life. They retired from their job, and maybe they just weren't stressing their brain, stressing in a good way, enough to keep it strong, just like muscles. Number two, be optimistic / don't worry so much. Obviously, this sounds like a good idea. This sounds like obviously you should be optimistic. Yeah, we should. And it's not very easy all the time, but you need to work at it like anything else. The book gets into stoicism. This is a practice of not caring about things. Not that you don't care about them so much, is that you're okay with the fact that everything in your life will be gone someday. Now, that sounds callous to some people, but we don't have to take that exactly as it's said and go with it, so much as we know nothing is permanent in life. We're going to die someday. Everyone you know is going to die someday. Everything you have today will be gone. It's not that you want to be happy about that so much as you have to understand it's going to happen. And knowing that it's going to happen someday can help you be okay with it, letting it go. The other thing it does is it gets you prepared for what's the worst that can happen, right? We don't like to think about this, so we often avoid it. But if you just think about it for a little while and then think of pathways you can take, you're prepared. And when you're prepared, you deal with trauma better. Now, you're still going to have to deal with it. It's still going to be difficult. But if you have thought it through before and you know that it's not the end of the world when you're in a safe space, when it's not happening to you, if it ever did happen to you, you'll have perspective on it. You'll know, it could be worse. And you'll have an idea of where to go. Moving forward always is better than sitting still and just worrying and being sad and wallowing in our self-pity. All right. Now, if we have those things down, we just got to also be mindful of what can happen when we have too much. Human beings, we tend to always want more. Rich people want to get richer. People who have a beautiful husband or wife want someone that's even more beautiful. If you have a nice car, you want the next best car. I mean, cell phones are a great example, right? The companies want us to update them every single year or two. And we always want the next best thing. And it comes out fast. And we always want more. But do we really need it? Probably not. Is it making us happier? Probably not. It's just making us desire things more that we don't really need. So be mindful of that trap, and that will help you not worry about losing it or not having it or not keeping up with the next person. That ultimately can lead to a longer life. And that's what some of the people said. Number three, cultivating good habits. All right. Doesn't just mean have good habits or try to do things that are good, so much as you need to work at keeping them and work on making them better. For instance, we need to actively work at our exercise by learning more about it, by practicing the efforts, right? Like practicing your squat or your deadlift. You need to work on your nutrition. Maybe you should learn how to cook. Maybe you should learn different techniques. We have to work at making our sleep better. Sometimes we have to give up things that we want to do at night so we can have a better sleep routine, better sleep habits, right? All these things you can talk about. And then the kind of the next chain link here leads into the last thing a lot of the people said was nurturing friendships and relationships. You have to work at relationships. Relationships are so good for your mental health, right? Human beings do well in groups. We don't do well alone generally, even though sometimes you may want that. And it's okay to be alone sometimes, but having those people in your lives not only helps you mentally and emotionally, but they actually help you physically. A lot of these people on the island, they have groups of people helping them physically, mentally, emotionally, and they're just there to support them. Now, negative people, not so much, but hopefully those negative people aren't your friends, right? And we'll get into that in just a minute. Um, you know, hopefully most of the people in your life on a regular basis are there to be a positive or have a positive effect for you. That someone has to like your Facebook and Instagram post, right? If you don't get likes, the posts probably don't make you feel as good about it. Obviously, that's a joke, but in real life, you want someone to encourage you, pat you on the back, and help you when you get knocked down to get back up. Okay. So another thing that these people that the book got into that these people did on a regular basis to stay alive and live well, healthy lives was a healthy diet. This seems pretty obvious. Not everyone knows what a healthy diet is, and you'll see different opinions of what healthy is online. But in general, here's what these people cited as a healthy diet. They always, or most of those people, ate to the point of not ever feeling full. So often nutritionists will say eat to 80% full. What is that? Who knows? It's hard to tell. But don't eat till you feel stuffed. And if you know much about food, if you're eating food that's not as processed, that doesn't have as much added sugar and whatnot, it's a lot easier to feel full before you've eaten too many calories if you're not eating processed food. You're just eating animals and animal products, fruits and vegetables, drinking things that are just like water or tea or coffee, basic stuff, right? One of the things they mentioned in the book was that insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1, has a correlation to aging, right? So when we eat food, especially sugar, our insulin goes up, right? And then after a while, it will go back down. Growth hormone is also correlated with growth and aging as well. It starts to taper off as we get older. And so they thought maybe that eating too much means too much IGF-1, and that has a negative effect on aging. I think that's a little dubious because there is a neuroprotective factor to IGF-1. So I wouldn't read too much into that, but there definitely is some more research that needs to be done to tell us what IGF-1 and growth hormone have to do with aging directly. But either way, eating too much, probably not so good for us. So don't eat till you feel full. They never do that over there. They just don't, probably because they're not eating processed foods, right? Another big thing, they have a lot of things with antioxidants in them. They have a lot of fruits and vegetables over there. Most of these people have their own gardens, right? So we know they're fresh. We know where they came from and how they were produced. And they also drink a lot of tea over there, which is probably a good thing overall. Antioxidants are basically, like vitamin C, for instance, works against oxidative stress. Free radicals in your bloodstream, they're going to damage things over time. If you have antioxidants, you're going to have less of that happening, okay? Another one, here's a big one. They don't have much added sugar at all, right? If they do have any added sugar, it's probably from raw sugar cane that came right from around where they live. That's probably the biggest thing. If you talk to anyone who knows what they're talking about with nutrition, they're going to say added sugar is killing people. And I agree. So that's probably one of the biggest reasons why they live healthy lives is because they're not eating added junk. And that's a recurring theme in this book. You take away stuff that isn't good for you. People, locations, sugar, right? Things you don't need, right? Extra stressors that lead to worry of losing it, right? Get rid of the sugar and add good things. Add the antioxidants, add the fruits and vegetables, right? Too much of something's bad, too little of something is bad. Find that middle ground. They also cited lower in salts. This is probably, again, not everything's perfect. This book is not perfect, but added salt is probably really more of like salt's blamed when sugar is the culprit. Salt is in a lot of processed foods. So they're not eating processed foods. So why would they have a lot of added salt? Right? Makes sense. And eating a wide variety of foods. They tend to eat a lot of seafood there, and they have a lot of different fruits and vegetables in their local gardens. They seem to crop share. A lot of them have their own communities where they'll share foods and they eat together as a community. So I don't know whether the variety of food is making them live longer, but it certainly is a product of having a good environment, right? So that can help you. All right. Number 3, exercising and daily movement is very valuable to these people for living long lives. Now, these people, they're not doing CrossFit, they're not doing strongman competitions. So I think they're probably saying just continually move, get your blood flowing. Big on that island is going for walks every day, walking a dog, going outside, and just moving, doing qigong, tai chi. You could even do yoga or anything like that. These kind of things are great for your blood flow. They're great for your mental state. They can provide you with something that gives you purpose or helps you find your Ikigai, right? Uh, Imagine if you were like Tom Brady and all of a sudden you had to retire. He probably is going through a little bit of like, what do I do now, right? Well, he doesn't have to stop moving. He just has to stop playing football for now. Maybe he'll come back. Who knows? But the process is that, or the thought is, just don't stop moving, right? And this can also help you get into that aforementioned flow state we talked about more frequently. So exercise is a great way to get into that flow, especially if you've been doing it for years. And then it can also become a hobby and a mental challenge. You don't have to do weight training every day. You can do cardiovascular training, you can play a sport, you can do qigong, it doesn't matter. And social activity. This is why a lot of people love groups. They want to see the same people. They want to ask how their day was. They want to have that person next to them to challenge them. So moving every day and exercise regularly, that's a huge thing for these people living for a long time. And I agree. That makes sense. And then finally, something a lot of people said was your mindset dictates how you can deal with adversity life will throw at you. So not everyone on this island led a perfect life, of course, and the rest of the world definitely not living perfect lives. So they have to have a positive outlook regardless of whether things are positive or negative happening every day. We know that psychology affects physiology. We talked about that in the last two videos. So if you have positive thinking, it will lead to positive actions, right? The opposite can be true. So we want to stay away from negative thinking, even if we're thinking to ourselves, right? And that's a very difficult skill to cultivate, but you need to cultivate it. You may not be aware of this, but motivation comes after action. You need to see some level of success to feel motivated, right? If you can't see the carrot on the stick, right, you're not going to go for it. But if you never get to that carrot on the stick, you're going to give up on it as well, right? So we need to move after something, make some positive forward motion before we get motivated to move harder. So you got to get that carrot, and then maybe the carrot will be further away next time, and then you're like, I'll get this carrot, right? Another thing on that, forcing yourself to smile actually makes you happier. So it's been proven that this, even though I look a little crazy, it makes you happier. Sorry guys. Complimenting someone you don't like actually will make you feel less angry. That's a huge one for me. Instead of channeling anger, you need to channel positive things to make you feel better. You didn't say that thing for them at first. You said it for you, and it works. But maybe eventually you start to feel better about that person as well. And let me tell you, anger does not make you feel good long term. Don't hold on to that. Try to put it away as fast as you can by pushing out positive energy. And then moving will make you feel better when you're feeling bad. Trust me, when you're in pain, you don't want to sit around, because your physical pain will turn itself into mental anguish. And that mental anguish will keep you in that bed. It will keep you sitting down, and it will become a hole. So these people, they try to train that positive mindset, and it makes them feel a lot better, which in turn, hopefully, we think makes them live longer. So while it isn't easy, if you try to practice turning these negative things into opportunities, it gets a lot better. The day-to-day stuff, you got to start small. As with any goal, you can't just say, oh, well, my family died. Now I just need to think of this as positive. No, that's crazy, right? You need to think, oh, well, I had a small thing that was bad happen to me. How can I make my mind think of this as an opportunity instead of just I'm in a hole, right? I had a hip surgery 2 years ago. It sucked. It wasn't fun. Didn't like it. It made me question what I was doing with my life, because I have a physical job, right? But what it did do is it taught me a lot that I can use with my clients. A lot of my clients have hip surgeries, back surgeries, knee surgeries. I understand the pain they're going through. I understand that different motions can hurt and how to work around them. I also use that time to see my kids more. I tried to learn German a little bit better. Ein bisschen, nicht so gut, right? But I learned a little bit more than I would have otherwise. You can take this and thought with a lot of other things, like losing your job. It may get you go back to school, learn a new trade. It may get you out of a bad job into a good job, right? And eventually, like maybe if you break up with your significant other, maybe that pushes you to do new things or meet new people, right? It's very difficult to think about things that way. But if you start to think of life that way, every time something bad happens, force your brain into opportunity mode, it will make you feel so much better. Again, the little things. You ran out of coffee this morning, make it into a positive. Hey, it made me try a tea. I got into an argument with my kids. Hey, it taught me how to think the way they think. Your football team lost the game. Oh, well, they can watch film and get better. All right, it's an opportunity to try again, right? Not just failure. Now, with all this stuff in this great book, it's good stuff, right? We love this book, but you always have to look at this with a critical eye. Like any quality study, you need to look at how it could be wrong or misleading. All right. I don't think anyone's trying to do that with this book, but obviously there are genetic factors at play. People who live at this area in the world continually have kids together, and they're going to retain these genetic factors that probably will just make them stay be able to stay alive for a long time if they continue to do that, right? There are also environmental factors, pollutants in the air and water, light and sound pollution, how they affect your sleep and your stress. Not every part of the world is like northern Japan, right? They also have lifestyle issues that are different. Many people outside of this area, they have high levels of work stress or social stress. These people don't tend to have CEO type jobs. They're pretty modest. They're not doing crushing, physically tough jobs or emotionally tough things. They have little to no daily commute. These things really affect your well-being over time. And also socioeconomic factors. These people, they're not rich, but they're not growing up in the gutters or in a war zone, right? They not only have families, but they also have whole communities helping them out oftentimes. And this is something a lot of people don't have, and that adversely affects your health, right? Among education and whatnot, these people working together. I know I talked about community being important, but these people always have that community helping each other, right? So socioeconomic factors are huge with your health. So you got to take this into account. Just because these people lived a really long time doesn't mean that acting like them is going to make you live forever, right? Remember that nothing is absolute, and anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something or is just strictly a bad person, right? You aren't the same as these people in every way, and you probably don't even want to be. These are just guidelines to help you find your own path, right? So let's recap this whole book. Sit down and figure out your Ikigai. What do you love? What are you good at? What do you think the world around you needs? And what can you live on, right? Write out your daily routines. Sit down for a moment. We're still writing things down. Something we do for fitness and nutrition often is write down our programs, right? Add positives, take away negatives from what you have, right? Do this process slowly in small bits that are challenging but not overwhelming, right? Use therapy to help you find your meaning or your reason for living. Discover your meaning. Don't try to create it. We don't want to force a square into a circular hole. Focus on the now and what you can change, not on the past, the future, or lingering on why bad things happened. Again, back to that positive attitude and mindset, right? Find your flow often, especially in the little things in your life. You have to do a lot of things daily. Finding your flow will make every day feel a lot better. You got to figure out what you want to do, how to do it, know if you're doing well, and know where you're going with it. You need to challenge yourself, have a clear path, but don't obsess on that path. Remember, compasses over maps, and you need to be able to focus. That's how you find that flow. Number 4, surround yourself with good things. Now, this is a big I'm just really summarizing here, but generally that's how the last few chapters felt. Surround yourself with good things, right? Good people, the relationships matter, communities matter, friends and family matter. Good food, your nutrition is a huge part of living a great life, right? Good habits, exercise is a good habit, right? That's a good example of good habits. But of course, we want to think good habits in a good environment lead to everything being good. So our environments, kitchen, bedroom, workplace, gym, inside of our heads, we need to have these good habits and cultivate them to live for a long time, right? And to live well for a long time, really. We don't care how long we live if we're not happy and feeling good. All right. So hopefully that's a pretty good summary of this book and you enjoyed digging into it as much as I did. If you haven't read the book, I strongly suggest getting this book. It's a short read. It's not very long. It's about, let's say, 180 pages, and it's spaced out pretty good. So it will not take you a lot of time, and it will make you find your own way. I am not the person that's going to tell you how to do it so much as I'm trying to guide you where you can start and how to get there. Okay? Everyone has a different outlook and perspective. Find your own Ikigai. Let me know how it goes. And if you like the videos, like and subscribe because I'm going to be making some more coming up soon. But until next time, guys, thank you very much and be well.